Alright, so, hello everyone. Welcome back to Dyson Sphere program. Let's click resume and then figure out where exactly we left off. Everything's a horrific mess. That's where we left off. Right. The world's greatest spaghetti pile. What on earth is going on here? I think this was the orientation I was looking at it previously, which is, yeah, north-south, so we can have that going. Now, we were doing a research and crafting some items. I can't remember what. We've got seemingly all sorts of shortages going through. But we have our stacks of Mark II sorters, so that's cool. And let's see here. What else was there? Okay, let's look at the tutorials first while we wait for that research to do. Dyson Sphere. So yes, good old Mr. Dyson invented the concept of a giant sphere. He was probably joking, by the way. Like, when he was... I believe the intent of his paper was to poke fun at people making very overly confident speculations about what future civilizations would be like. And then everyone just sort of took him seriously. So here we are. But it's still a pretty cool idea. And who knows? Maybe it'll work. And so yeah, we've got the Dyson Sphere. That's all that stuff. Origin of Dark Fog. We're going to launch the Mechanic Energy Program, which is self-replicating robots who did all sorts of stuff. They mined stuff and captured energy. And then it got less and less reliable, and then eventually it turned evil, I guess. Neat. Okay, so then we've got just some various tutorials. So we can get more veins, makes the miners go faster. And we can put multiple miners on one vein. So that's that. Power Grid Establishment Guide. So that's just the very basics of it. Yeah, we've seen that. Core Energy, I believe we figured that one out. Basic Controls, we've definitely figured those out. I'm just looking to see if there's anything here that we're missing. So, we have various labs. And you only need to set the working mode of one level. It'll be synchronized with all the other levels. Alright, neat. Recipe copy. Yeah, we figured that one out. Conveyor belt and sorters. That was super early. And then turrets. Yeah, okay, so we've read all of those now. And these, for some reason, haven't disappeared, so... Alright, we have managed to clear out all those tutorials, which means that now I can see everything on the screen again, which is very handy. In the meantime, this is going, and that's actually filled up. So we should hopefully be catching back up on our supply of iron at some point. Although we're going to need to do so much work just like completely redesigning this entire thing in order to make it less terrible. Because currently we're pretty heavily limited on just about everything. We can't build much more as it is. So we've got our iron smelting machines over here. And they are going at full speed, 60 a minute, no problem. Okay, we finished Energy Matrix. So that's the next type of technology. And while we figure out how to do that, let's start doing reclamation. And then we need to figure out how one crafts these. Alright, so we had done energetic graphite. I believe we'd technically built a machine for that. Yes, we built a machine for energetic graphite. And then the other thing we need is the little loopy thing. What is that? Plasma refining. So in a refining facility, you take crude oil and you turn it into refined oil and hydrogen. Alright, easy enough. And that... Alright, so we just need to get a refining facility, which I believe I had built down here. So which one of you... Is it you holding the refining facilities? Yes, oil refineries. Acquired. So now we just need to... I can actually fly around to make that go a little bit quicker, so we don't have to walk 1,000 miles to get where we need to go. So we need an oil refinery, and we want you to just go somewhere like that. And then
this facility produces various products.
Okay, we've got it.
To filter those products, you need to configure sorter filter. When building a sorter,
so we have to
tab or arrow keys.
We have to do filters because the recipe outputs two things at once. All right, so we give you that. Then you get a belt, which we're gonna just have going that way for no real reason. And then you feed into that belt. Oh, I see. This has belt outputs. So we just do something like that. And now you are getting filled with crude oil. And now we need to get 2 outputs out of you. So let's go 1, 2, 1, and 2. So this one is going to be filtered to hydrogen. This one is going to be filtered to refined oil. And then if we clear all of that junk off of the belts, so now we've got a belt of hydrogen and a belt of refined oil, which we're going to need to do something with at some point. I wonder what you do with refined oil. What's the button for ref later? Is F. So we can use refined oil and graphite to make plastic, which is probably useful for something. But for now, let's just... we only have 1 storage tank.
Materials.
Can we just craft up a couple more of those with stone bricks? Okay, so we're gonna just grab a whole bunch of stone bricks. And then slowly gonna start learning the hotkeys for all this stuff. So now we have another storage tank, which can go out there, and the refined oil can go into that. And we need more belts. Let's figure out where those are. Belts, belts, belts. There should be, yeah, I was gonna say relatively close to the top because I would have done them first. So let's grab all of those. And now we need to get you over there to the refined graphite. So you can run around this way and then up straight through this random wind farm and around the iron nodes and then you just keep on going. Then you go up a tick and back down a tick. Okay, so now we just have to get all of this built with our extraordinary drone power. Tutorial research progress is too slow. Yes, okay. So what is actually the problem with the research progress? Is it production or spinning? Okay, so seems to be production is the problem. But that is mostly doing fine, so we're just going to accept that research progress is not especially fast for the moment. And we get all this stuff built out. Then we have to run all the way over here to get all these guys built. And off we go. So that all goes up. It's weird that it takes the items out of your inventory when the blueprints are placed and not when the drones actually place the items themselves. Okay, so what machine did you make these in? Oh yeah, the research facilities, obviously. Okay, so then we need to make another one of those, which means we need glass.
Flight mode.
So let's just fly over this way. And here's the glass. How much of this stuff do we need? Okay, apparently that was enough. Okay, so we've got that. And now we need to craft up the red science. And I have no idea how I'm going to get it to where it needs to go. But that'll be a job for the future. So we get 3 and F1 to get to those, and then F4 to get to loaders. And you are set to produce red science. And then... Alright, we have those. So now we can... Now we can start worrying about how exactly we're going to get all this science to meet up. So you obviously output onto that. And you are going to need a power pole. So that is red science. And I assume that this is one of those things where you have to get everything into the same input, right? So we have to somehow get either red science packs all the way over there or blue science packs all the way back there. And let's see here. If the blue science packs sort of go up that way, we can move them out of the way. Do I have the hiccups? That's going to be annoying if that wasn't just a one-off fluke. Alright, so let's just bring you in and all the way over there. Then we need to get you around this way because that's where this is. Now we just pop you onto that, and we should be good. That should give us a supply of red science packs into the labs. And that's going to have some time to warm up and get some stuff filled because we're not going to be using them immediately. Okay, so
insufficient materials.
we probably need to automate the science matrix labs. Maybe, I don't know, how often are we really going to need to do this? But let's start by grabbing some more glass. Right, so that's what that box is. That's plenty of glass. And then we can craft up another one of these and then stack up this matrix lab here, which should give us plenty. So now you have tons of red science built up, which should make the first couple of researches of those pretty fast. And now we have another stack of you, and that is hopefully then going to make our blue science production go. So these are 20 per minute each of blue science, and we've run all the way over here for the red science, which is 10 per minute off of that one. So let's check the tech tree. These are required like in equal numbers for the ones that need them. So let's, I guess, get another one. And we need iron plates for that. Oh, hit the button too many times. So we grab some iron ingots, not iron plates, and then we can craft up another one of you, and that should accelerate red science production. So we can just pop you up there, and then that should be all good. Now our personal power grid is starting to have some issues. So that's going down, so let's go and stand next to you for a bit. And we also have plenty of refined oil. At least it's slowly building up. And while I'm standing in this, the power grid is mostly fine. And then once I'm capped out, that shouldn't be an issue. We are going to need to find some way of getting better power at some point soon. So we're down to 100 blue circuits left, and these guys are both cooking along at 20 per minute. So that'll be, what, 2.5 minutes for 40 to get to that? Assuming that these are running at full speed, and it looks like they are running exactly at full speed, so that works out. And we can get this sort of more side-on view as well, which is pretty neat. So, I wonder how much we want. We probably want the red science packs to actually stack up quite a bit. So, if we take a little bit of that out and then this whole thing is a bit complicated. But if we go something like that, then I don't know why this goes up and down like it does. So let's chop that down a little bit. And you are doing weird stuff, so we're gonna have to send that back so that it can drop down steeper to here. And then you go into there, and then you go up to there. Alright, so now we've got them going through a splitter there. And we can just put a depot on top, which will be limited like that. And I don't know if that is good. So this is a splitter. I don't fully understand. Someone said that this worked. I don't fully understand if that'll actually do anything, but I guess we'll find out.
Research complete.
Alright. Reclamation unlocked. We have the foundation, which is essential for modifying terrain such as soil extraction from raised surfaces, land reclamation, returning the altitude to 0. Cool. So, what's next? I wanted to do a red science thing now that we have that as an option. So, okay, thermal power is actually incredibly cheap. So that makes me think that I should have done it ages ago, so I'm probably going to do it now. So we can queue that one up, and then probably queue up combustible unit as well. And there's all the things that need red science anyways. Like, do any of these do anything useful for me? How about in here? This is mostly the same. I'm just trying to see if any of this stuff is like actively valuable to me. Maybe we go into upgrades. We can get more drones and stuff.
Research complete.
The mecha. Alright, thermal power plant unlocked. Oh, we can do mass construction with that for blueprints, probably. Okay, let's get that one queued up just to use some of these red matrices. And that should be helpful. Okay, so as far as power plants go, we have thermal power plant, which should be able to make power from that refined fuel stuff that we have, right? Let's see. This is crude oil, energy 4 megajoules, fuel chamber gen plus 20%. Now, if we go over here to this refined fuel, it's 4.5 megajoules, so that's slightly better, I guess. Okay, I don't know if that's actually useful, but we should be able to build these. Alright, so we can build one of those manually. And grab some more ingots. And then you just go in somewhere. Who cares? Just somewhere like that.
A thermal power plant? This kind of power facility consumes chemical fuel. Ensure adequate fuel supply at all times so the plant can consistently generate power.
Yep. And then we just take this, we bring it over this way, and then loop it in like that. And then you get fed. Alright, so with that, we have an extra little bit of power. Now, is this increasing or decreasing? Are we keeping up with the fuel production? This seems to make 15... Okay, no, it's 4 seconds to make 2 refined oil. And this... Okay, it's hard to do the math, but this is definitely higher than it was a moment ago, so it's probably that. combustible unit has been unlocked. And how do you make those? Just from coal, which isn't very exciting to me, but it's fine, obviously. Okay. And now we are cooking away at getting the drones to be better. And the power grid is doing perfectly fine. So that's all going well. And we kind of just need like an enormous amount of research speed. So we need to get this going up even better. So let's go, because this is very slow. This is very slow. And we're also probably going to run out of red circuits, or not red circuits, but red science pretty soon. So let's check what tech is available, because there should be some like useful quality of life stuff in here probably, right? So we can get solar power, we can get energy storage, none of that is what we want. We can get, that way it's just even more solar stuff. Here is, alright, so this top row is sort of what we're looking at in terms of things we want. And we need magnetic levitation to get that. Oh, here are drones. Logistics bots. And logistics distributors can deliver things to other logistics distributors. Okay, so this is basically what we want to be doing up here. So we need magnetic levitation for those. And then past that, it's very complicated. So let's queue that one up. And yeah, we can let the drones science stuff finish. For now, what I want to do is automate science production, facility production. So we need iron plates, glass, circuits, and magnetic coils. So down here we have the glass goes into here and then dead ends, basically. So first of all, let's get those producing faster. Oh, and we need foundation too. So how does one make foundation? It is 3 stone bricks and a steel to make 1 foundation. And we need to do that so we can build around all these various puddles without having to worry about it. So the stone bricks are here, and the steel is here. So we have both of them in the right general area. So we just need you to go up, loop around, and then come down. And then we need you to do the same thing. So you go up, you loop around, and then you come down over here. Okay, so now...
Research is too slow. Build more matrix labs.
Yeah, I know.
Multiple matrix
I know
labs can
research is
contribute
slow.
to the same research. Build more matrix labs and set them to research mode.
Okay, so
and
we
ensure
need
sufficient supply of matrices.
you to get connected down to ground level, and then you run across next to it. Then we get an assembly machine in. The assembly machine needs to make foundations, which is all the way down in the corner for some reason. Then you get powered up, and connected in to the rest of the grid. Then we get a storage chest and a sorter feeding into you. Apparently you're too close. So you go there, and then the sorter goes to there. And now we have foundations. And let's limit that to 1 stack for now. And I'm going to take the first couple and then walk away to ignore that for a little bit. Okay, so now we can get up to this area where the glass was being made and add more arc smelters on. So we just need to do foundation for you.
A foundation is a terrain leveling tool. It can only be used
Huzzah.
to level the terrain to
Done it.
0 altitude. It can't be used to change the landforms of the planet. Using the foundation on highlands generates soil piles.
Alright.
And it consumes soil piles when you use foundation on ocean or low
Alright.
areas.
So I don't know how to get soil piles, but I guess just by doing that.
And just level the terrain.
Alright, so that is fine. Now we just connect the belt across and connect everything in. Didn't quite get that last one placed right. And then we bring a power pole over. So now this whole thing is active. And now we're producing 3 times as much glass as we were before. So, there was some reason I did that. And, oh, I think it was for... we wanted to automate matrix labs. I think that was the reason. So we need iron plates, glass, circuits, and magnetic coils. So we have glass here, magnetic coils here, circuits here. We don't have iron plates. I guess we kind of do. Alright. So I need to actually pick up some more foundations to fill in that puddle. And then hopefully we can somehow figure out how to get everything sorted out. So we get all 80 of those. And you are... I think you just need faster loaders. So that's fine. We had been meaning to do that at some point. So you get upgraded. So now this can run even faster. And we can run up here. Actually, we have everything but glass for the things down here, right? We've got conveyor belts, circuit boards, stone bricks, magnetic coils. So we just need to bring glass down to here, and then we can build our matrix lab automation there. Okay, so this goes around and up. And then all the way across this way, and then it can slope back down now that that's not needed anymore. So now we have all of these. We can make an assembly machine, and I guess it'll be over this way. And now we just have to run these belts up to it. So we get belts there. We get belts there. And then we're going to need to grab more belts. I think it said that that was only like 150% the speed, but it seems like 1,000 times faster. Good old flight mode. Okay, so you are set to automate Matrix Labs. And you get a power pole. They're called Tesla towers, technically. Our drones are out there building that still. I wonder if they have infinite distance or just extremely far distance. Who knows? Okay, so now we need to get the circuit boards out of all of this. So you need to go up there and then, like, loop around that way. And then go up to here. And I don't know what all this slope stuff is trying to do. I just want you to go over that way. Kind of unhinged looking, but that's fine. You don't get bonus points for making it look good, technically. Just get bonus sanity points. Alright, so that is 3 of the 4 inputs. Now we just need to bring the glass the rest of the way over, which can just go around this way. And then in like that. Now we just load all you guys up. Like that. And now we just have to run over here to get all of these belts placed for the glass to make it the rest of the way. There we go. That should be everything. And our foundation is starting to stockpile semi-decently. Alright, construction drone +2. Very cool. And now we've got this, which can output into a random box. And we definitely only need 1 stack of you. Alright, so that's all going. Dark fog is up to 85%. That's probably fine. So now we can just yoink some of those. And let's see, this belt here is supposed to be carrying the stone bricks or whatever, and that seems to be quite low. So let's try to improve that.
Flight mode.
And I always remember to use flight mode for extra speed at like the last possible moment where it's not even that helpful anymore. Wish there's got to be some way of like just automatically placing foundation, right? There's got to be. So we get 2 more of those guys in, and they are going to do that and receive stone, and then the output belt goes across. Alright, so that should... We actually don't have enough just raw stone production. Alright, so first I need to recharge, so let's head over to the recharge majig. So we're just going to stand in here for a little bit, and while we do, let's see if we can craft up another couple of these manually, and then we're going to run over and add some of those to our stone patch that we had over there. And we also have belts,
complete.
Check, and we have power poles, so we have everything we need for that.
Flight mode.
So now we you can just fly over this way. And here we are. So we get collecting. And we can squeeze in another couple of these guys. It's really hard to get them to line up reasonably well. Alright, so then that connects into there. Then you come down and connect into there. And then we just get both of those guys powered up. And that should now be way more stone output. Don't know if it'll be 100% full, but it looks like it is a full belt, potentially.
Flight mode.
So that should be quite convenient. So now we can just fly over to here and see that that is already starting to reach in. Alright, so that's all good. Now we need to boost up our science production. So the science production line is copper plates, motors, or copper plates, magnets, and iron plates. So we have our copper stockpile there. And we're also going to need to do this arc smelter stuff at some point as well to get more of that going. In the meantime, we're about to get attacked by dark fog. Okay, so was this the backup iron source that we had? Yeah, so this is our iron source backup. So let's actually get this set up to do some science production. So we're going to chop that belt down a bit. Then we need a splitter there, which will split off ore for the iron plates. A splitter there, which will split off ore for the magnets. And then obviously the main line just goes through to the existing factory. And then we get these lines, which can go down this way. And you get a nice solid row of arc smelters, as do you. And you are going to be iron plates. And you are going to be magnets. Then this whole area is going to get powered up. Probably, let's see, I actually want to figure out where the output belts are going. So the output belts are going to be in this interiors row here, I think. And then there, so that we're just using the direct inputs and outputs for everything. So now these all get attached up, as do these. And then they get connected to the output belts. And these get connected to the output belts. And then we can fit another Tesla tower in there to get the last couple running. Alright, so that is iron plates and magnets. Now, what did we need for these? We needed to add copper to the magnets and add copper to the iron plates. So we're also going to need a similar setup for copper mining. So we will cut that down
Dark fog
temporarily.
cluster is launching an assault.
Okay, they can do that. And theoretically, my gun turret, which I do have built up in that area, should solve the problem. I'm going to stand relatively close just in case. What is that? Alright, that's apparently an astronomical unit away up in space. I'm not going to worry about it. Alright, so the gun turret is here. And dark fog seems to be coming from that direction. Alright, gun turret seems to be doing its job successfully. Yeah, that looks good to me. And then there's just this second wave, which... Okay, they might be coming from an unfortunate angle, but they've managed to barely clip within the turret's radius. So it's a little bit spooky. We might need to add more turrets just to cover, like, from that angle and that angle. And... Oh. Yeah, so you definitely managed to get into the base somehow. So we can run over and deal with you manually. And then repair that random wind turbine, and then we're all good. Okay, and somehow we have to find litter. I don't know where that is. If it's just like one... Okay, no, we found it. It's just we have to get somewhere in this general area to pick up the soil pile. Speaking of which, my inventory has a lot of just random stuff in it. We're gonna have to solve that at some point as well. Okay, so anyways, we have this, and we can run our copper belt down this way, and just somewhere like that. And then we need some arc smelters. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these are going to be set to copper plates, or copper ingots. Rather, they look like plates, but they're not. Okay, so then this all gets set up. We get a Tesla tower over that general direction. Now it's time for the inputs and the outputs. Okay, so we have copper, we have iron, we have magnets. Now we need to put together a couple of assembly machines each. And we need to pick up some. Now we have 50 of them. That's probably overkill, but whatever. So we get... Let's see. So the copper is going to be going into both, and the other items are going to be going into one each. So what if we have, like, assembly machine, assembly machine. Then we have belt, 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 and then assembly machine, assembly machine. So then the copper goes there in the center, and these can go on either side. So you go into there, and you go into there, and then the copper needs to go up and over this way and back down. Okay, so that is all set up, and now this is going to be magnetic coils. You are going to be green circuits, and then we have the outputs on the other side. So the outputs go on the outside of these. So you go outputting to there, you go outputting to there. We need to pick up more belts. Fortunately, they're right here. And we really need to clear up the inventory at some point. It's going to be a problem pretty soon. But we can go a little while longer without worrying about it. Alright, so now we just attach all of these guys up.
Research complete.
And we have that research done. Okay, so now I believe that's all connected in properly. So yeah, now we've got outputs of those two, and we can get just science labs now, and we can probably get quite a few of them stacked up. And so this stack makes blue matrices, whatever those happen to be called. And we feed you in just like that. And let's give you fast inserters just in case. And then you output those to a storage chest just for buffering purposes. You'll need to store like a stack or two. So that is going to be blue matrices down. Okay. So this is a little bit better than the previous setup. I don't know if the ratios are at all reasonable. Like, how much is this? Extreme product overflow. So we could probably do even better for the ratios. Like, I don't know how much that takes, but it's certainly going to be faster than our previous setup by quite a lot. And that's max vertical height, so that's fine. And then I guess we just have the research area just go into another tower directly adjacent to it. Alright, we now have 50 science labs, and if we ever use all 50 of these, then that's going to be crazy. So then you just grab from there, and you get powered up. And you set to research mode. Okay, so we need to put technologies in. So we've finished the magnetic thingamabob, so now we can start up on distributed logistics system. And this should be able to do all the science that we need for that. And it's going to be the question of red science now. So we run up here, and these guys have plenty of graphite, not enough hydrogen, it looks like. So first of all, we can stack another one on top, just so that we have that, and then we're going to find out how to boost up hydrogen production. So we just need to get another oil refinery in somewhere. And we just need to find a spot where it fits, which is somehow the closest one is all the way back there. So this will then go up a little bit to go over all of that. And then descends again. Alright, so now we have that. And you are going to be doing more plasma refinery. And then we get conveyor belt, conveyor belt. So this one here will be the hydrogen one. And then this one will be the refined fuel. And actually, can we just have you point the other direction? So you go over this way, and then up over that, and then into that splitter where that storage chest thing where we will then dispose of it all. And then you get your output up there to be, hang on, how do I set filter, refined oil, and now I have to go and grab all of the junk off of that. Okay, no, we missed one. There's one that's just straight up in there, which I think we just have to dismantle the belt entirely to remove. Okay, there we go. So that's all functional, and now we just slam this hydrogen belt into that hydrogen belt, and it should be good to go. Get rid of that little chunk of refined oil that managed to sneak on there before I set the filter up. So that should be more red science. And let's just actually get... Alright, so let's remove that. Get you to go up onto another row. And now we need to get that one all attached up. So you go around like that. And now we have to see if we can get these items in. The answer is somehow yes. So you are going to be producing more red stuff, and that will be going out to there. Okay. So that should be plenty of red science production. We don't have any backlogs of it at all, but that's fine. And this is all going into this row here. So let's first of all get those two upgraded a little bit. And second of all, we need to... Do we actually just bring this belt forwards? Yeah, so we just bring the belt forwards to there. And hopefully that's enough. Okay, we actually just straight up don't have enough space to do that. So what if we push you back a little bit, and then from there you can go up fast enough. And did that work? Yes, it did. Alright, now we have to squeeze through some very, very tiny areas. And then you get all the way over to here, where you can just drop down. And somehow you need to drop down earlier. These belts being unable to be like even remotely steep is a serious limitation. So that goes into there and connects up like so. Alright, now I have... Apparently, it says I have 11 red cubes like in my inventory or something. I don't know how exactly that works, considering they're definitely not in there. But it says there was 11 there. Alright, well I've clicked that and now it's just gone forever. So that's unfortunate. So you don't have any red science. You have a massive stockpile of blue science. So we still just need more red science. Even more than ever before. Which is probably going to involve setting up like a less horrifically cursed setup for that. So the graphite seems to be going fine, right? Like maybe it's falling a little bit far behind. And so this row just isn't getting enough hydrogen at all. So let's find... Actually, is there some other way of making hydrogen? Hydrogen, there's like all these different recipes, most of which I think I just haven't unlocked yet. So let's...
Insufficient materials.
Okay, I always forget that you have to actually craft them manually first. So we need to pick up steel to make that chemical plant.
Flight mode.
And let's fly down this way. And which one of you guys is steel? Here you are. So now we've got some steel. We need a little bit more steel. And we're definitely going to need to upgrade the steel production, because this is kind of silly. Alright, but for now we have that. And that's also going to involve increasing the iron plate production. So that's going to be a whole process. Alright, chemical plant. Do we have any recipes that we can even use you for? Please select a recipe. You can make plastic and sulfuric acid, and that's it. Okay, so currently nothing useful there. Currently that just sort of is stuck as it is. And we should go over here and get this upgraded a little bit. So we get another arc smelter. And you can make steel out of iron. So that would be a good improvement if we had the iron. Now, fortunately, we've got this belt over here, which hopefully has enough space for a splitter. Yep, that's perfect. So you go like that, and then over this way, and then up, and then into there. Alright, core energy is low. We need to get to one of those charging poles pretty quickly. So let's run all the way up to here. And there we go. Nice and comfy. The power grid is flickering again, but that's completely unsurprising. Yeah, we're gonna need to upgrade the power grid again. Crazy how often we wind up needing to do that. But it is what it is. So we are almost fully charged. And what's taking all that power anyways? It wasn't showing anything in here that was draining a huge amount of power. Ah well, it's not a big deal. We are back up. And when we're not manual charging, the power grid is fine. So that's good. And you are... I like having this pop up there just so that I can see what exactly we're waiting on. Or like how close we are in a numerical sense. So these guys are running. We just need more red cubes. We've got plenty of crude oil in that tank. So let's see if we can just expand this out. So we should be able to get just like another one there, and then if we dismantle that one, we can get another one in on some foundation. So that can get hopefully covered out to there. So let's just get like a whole bunch of those guys, right? And now this belt goes along all of them and then loops around and back into there. Then this belt goes past all of them and goes over that way. And you are not having any trouble with input or output speeds, so we don't need to worry about using the higher tier inserters. So those all get grabbed. Then we paste their filters in so that those are all filtered to hydrogen. Then we need to get all of these ones in and grab your filter so that those are all filtered to refined oil. Then we move a Tesla tower down there so that these guys are all charged up. And finally we drag this belt along to there, and we're going to have to move that wind turbine. So that goes in, and that first one was already connected. So now those are all connected, and we're just going to put a Tesla tower in there. And now those all get the recipe. So now we can get some serious hydrogen output, which should hopefully just directly increase our science production. So this goes all the way down here and then into these two guys who are making red science. And they are fundamentally waiting on the hydrogen, so that upgrade to hydrogen input should carry a lot of value. And so that's all going to go across. And now we see that this whole tower going, or at least the first two are. And then this one is also going a little bit. And also apparently the power grid is even more messed up now. So, fortunately, we now have plenty of refined fuel. So, let's get some more thermal power plants in to deal with that in a relatively compact way. So, we get thermal power plant there. We only have the one. Let's craft up another one. Okay, now this belt goes across like that and into the second thermal power plant. And then we just get another one in and run the belt across again. Alright, so now that is 3 thermal power plants running simultaneously, and hopefully that will be enough. It's actually still insanely close. We have unlocked the small factory achievement, which is something, I guess. The power grid is still really sketchy, though, so I'm not a fan of that. So let's see, we need more stone bricks. Yeah, and actually it's still flickering occasionally. So we need... How difficult is this to automate? Iron plates, stone bricks, gear wheels, and those things. Let's just grab a bunch of stone bricks first. And we can add another 2 onto the list. Alright. We have unlocked logistics stuff, so that's cool. Now, let's see. So we can also get faster belts and bigger boxes. And even faster inserters. I don't know how necessary that is. Let's unlock solar collection. That sounds reasonably fun, and it's mostly going to be blue circuits, so it should be lightning fast. Okay, so we have another 2 of you, which we are just going to pop in. And okay, so that belt goes along to there. You get powered up. These guys are making 2 megawatts each, but the power demand is just real high. And so we need to go back and grab some belts, which are somewhere over this way. And we can grab those. And we're going to be able to get drones to automate some of this pretty soon. Alright, solar collection is just instantly done.
Data shows there aren't
there?
any natural silicone veins on this planet. You can still obtain some silicone by smelting stone ores. In order to collect a large amount of silicone, find a planet with silicone veins as soon as possible.
Okay, so proliferators, when they're sprayed onto products by a spray coater, extra products or production speed up is gained. Proliferator is put into the port above the spray coater and sprayed on cargo. When the sprayed cargo is used as raw materials to make the next level of products, it can yield extra product or speed up production. However, it will increase the power consumption for the entire production process. Okay, weird. So it's like productivity modules, but per item? That's strange. Okay, so what else do we want to unlock? There was like a blueprint thing here, right? So we need to find 100 circuit boards, which should be just somewhere over here. Right, got these. Okay, this... Let's let you carry a second stack, just because it's fun. Okay, so we just sort of need to sit here and pick these guys up until we get enough of them. And so that is going. And it's pretty quick. Could be faster, obviously. But now we have enough. Alright, so we have enough of those that the manual research should be able to keep up. And we're also building a bit of a red circuit stockpile, or red science. I keep calling them red circuits. Building up a couple of those in the meantime as well, which is certainly nice. And we can go up here to do more upgrades to the power grid, because if I stand by this guy... Okay, we're actually barely fine now. I guess the science probably is what takes a lot of the power. Who knows? Alright, so that's plenty of power for now. So we walk down this way, and this guy gets inserted, and that's even more fuel. So that's 5 fuel generators and 5 oil refineries, so that might just be like a perfect ratio. And we have actually a backlog of hydrogen now, which means that we need to get more energetic graphite over here. So let's just add 2 more of these guys on. Because we definitely want to have good, quick science production. That's sort of our main priority, obviously, because the more science we get, the more late game stuff we get. And the more late game stuff we get, the better off we will be for making our upgrades. Alright, so that is set up, and it's not easy to tell whether these are going to be backlogging or not. Looks like the answer is maybe not. At least as it is, we might now be moving so fast that the hydrogen becomes the limiting factor again, in which case we can just sort of go back and forth upgrading those 2 things until we get somewhere. Alright, so let's add another one on, and you can actually go to there, so you can go from there to there.
Upgrade complete.
And paste there. So now we have blueprint creation, which will probably be handy once I get around
You've unlocked
to
blueprint. You can now
doing
make
stuff.
batch copies of production line plans. Press Control and C
Okay.
to enter copy mode.
So we can
Click
get
the left
energy
mouse
circuit
button
to
select the
improve
desired area. Then press
the
Control
fuel
and V
chamber.
to paste the copied blueprint.
we can
Alternatively,
get inventory
press
capacity.
0 to open blueprint library, where you can browse and use all saved blueprints.
This
With powerful blueprints,
our
you can then
battery.
build a huge industrial empire.
Alright. So, cosmic exploration. This was one of the things which we wanted to do, right? Eventually unlock cosmic exploration level 2 to view ore reserves of the planetary system. I don't know what good that'll do for us, but it says we want to have it, so we're going to have it. Then what else is there? We can do high energy logistics, we can do crystal smelting, we can do semiconductor material, deuterium fractionation. What is this? I have no idea what that is. We can get graphene somehow, and organic crystals. X-ray cracking. What is this? So this is taking hydrogen and refined fuel into more hydrogen and graphite. That's kind of neat. Then we have super magnetic field generator, which I'm sure is useful for something. There's missile turrets, battlefield analysis base. Okay, I don't really care about any of those. Let's just unlock semiconductors. That's probably going to lead into something that's useful. It's tough to say when you have absolutely no idea what's going on. And then after that, we can do high energy whatevers, so that we can get better belts.
Upgrade complete.
Alright, we can now view the ore reserves of the planetary system, which...
Now you can click the star map button at the bottom left corner of the
Star map
screen
button at
to
the
view
bottom
the planetary
left.
system.
I see.
Whole cluster.
So we click on that, and so we're on like this tiny little moon orbiting, looks like a gas giant, and then there's other stuff in here, but okay, and then there's a couple other planets, and then there's the evil guys, I guess, and there's a whole lot of stuff in here, which is probably worth looking at some point, but who knows. Okay, so we have blueprints now, right? And that's going to be very helpful. We're also unlocking even more stuff, and there's definitely going to be even more to do after that.
Research complete.
Sort of at a weird spot right now where I don't feel like I have the technology to redesign stuff, but I probably do. Okay, so at the bare minimum, let's start figuring out the logistics drone stuff. So we've got logistics distributor. So this is a box which you place on top of a depot to deliver the depot's contents to your inventory or other logistics distributors. Okay. And then is there like a... yeah, there is a logistics spot in here. So we need... looks like a golden circuit board thing, which I don't even see. What is that? Acquire technology processor. Okay, so we actually just can't do it yet. So it's kind of crazy that they let us unlock that without the technology needed, but sure. So let's just queue that one up then, which comes off of semiconductors, so that's fine. So as for our science, we are definitely doing that. We have plenty of red stuff, plenty of blue stuff. It's actually just the rate itself, because we're only doing this in one tower. Okay, so let's improve that then. So this belt here is going to need to move. So you're going to need to go over this way, and then up, and then back down, and then into there. So that way all of this stuff can be removed. And now we get another stack of 3 of you guys in. And then I guess there's not an ideal way of doing this, so we just have to insert you onto there, and then onto there. And then we need the red circuits to loop around like that and go into there. And you are set to research mode. And I I built this. I built that the wrong way. So that goes in there, and now it's somehow in the world's tiniest gap in the power zone. So that is now all set up. And red science research can now go twice as fast. So that's pretty neat. And that just trickles down. And should be done any second now. There we go.
Research
Blue science done. So high energy logistics systems done. We need to make some mysterious object in order to do that. But I'm sure that that'll be fine. Then for the next step, we already have 280-ish of the things needed, and that's slowly trickling down, but we're almost keeping up. So now let's check. Actually, we do have this red science depot back here, right? So how well is this doing? We've got like 100 to spare as well. So yeah, we're actually doing quite well in terms of our ability to do science. So what else is there to automate? If we get the previous motor things plus more coils, we can just knock the EM turbines out real quick. Just get those done. So that is this belt plus this belt. Alright, please say I can get you lifted fast enough. Yes, I can, so you go out there, and then you drop down. Then this belt can go forwards right through to there. And we get a assembly machine on as well. So you take those, and you are set to make electromagnetic turbines, which we will then output onto a belt and not hit the escape button randomly. And that will probably be useful for something at some point, if I had to guess. Okay. So, we have EM turbines. Do those go in some sort of building? Yeah, okay, genuinely, what do those do? So if we want to make solar panels, we need this, what is it, high purity silicon, which is silicon ore, which is stone. So we go stone to silicon, silicon to silicon ore. Yes, we go stone to silicon ore to high purity silicone, and then we can make solar panels and or microcrystalline components. Okay, so I guess these are for belts, right? So we can take belts and make better belts. And we can take sorters and make better sorters. Now, I wouldn't say that belt speed is exactly the problem I'm facing right now. And if I recall, the belts are sort of buried back here. So we'll just leave that. It's probably going to be used in various other things as well. Meanwhile, the science output... Okay, so yeah. The production off of this one matrix lab of blue science isn't keeping up with the demands of these two matrix labs of blue science, which is entirely unsurprising. Fortunately, we had this reasonably sized backlog, and let's make that even higher, and then
Flight mode.
let's also run over to make the red science backlog a bit higher, just so that we can have a whole bunch of that stuff
Flight
as
mode.
well. Okay, so we want to reorganize this whole system just a little bit I wonder if we can actually squeeze in the other lab, just something like that. And then get real creative with the belt placements. You can run in there and across to there. Then you go in, you go in. And then you go forwards and into there. Okay, we've unlocked the processor. Very cool. So now that whole thing gets powered up and set to blue circuit production. And that should help with that a little bit. Now we need to put another recipe in. We can get Assembly Machine Mark II, or we can just, like, do some upgrades or something. So we can make the blueprints better. That will certainly not hurt. And then I guess we can also unlock the Mecha Energy Shield, whatever that means. And the power grid is all messed up again. Yeah, that makes sense. Why wouldn't the power grid be all messed up? So we had at one point unlocked solar power, right? So we have solar panels there, but we don't have storage, which makes them kind of useless. Okay, so the processors are green circuits plus microcrystalline components, and that's going to be useful for drones. Let's break the power grid even more by charging ourselves. So we're just going to stand here for a little bit while our mecha battery gets all capped out. And then we're going to need to figure out, consumption demand is like 28 or so, which is quite high.
Upgrade complete.
Okay, that science is done. Blueprints are now better than ever. And I wonder if it's actually just the science, which, how much power do you do? 480 kilowatts each, and you're going to be the same,
Upgrade
basically.
complete.
I guess that's kind of a lot. So we've unlocked the energy shield, very cool.
Congratulations.
And that's
You've unlocked
the thing
Energy
now.
Shield. It can resist all damage from enemies and
So I guess
protect
that'll
all facilities within its radius.
Be helpful.
Energy Shield requires Mecha's
Speaking
core
of
energy
which,
to charge.
dark power
The
is up to
charging speed depends on the
62%.
current fuel chamber power generation, as well as the Mecha's current energy percentage.
Alright, so the
Once the shield's power
charges.
is exhausted, it takes some time to restart.
And, alright, so hopefully that is just never super important. Hopefully we just don't ever really need to worry about that. In the meantime, so this is our fuel setup. And this is fluctuating around 1270 refined fuel. And I'm not super confident in its ability to... I think it's exactly balanced, so we can't do much with that. We then will need to start thinking about solar panels. So these are 360 kilowatts, which is better than the wind turbines, and probably you can build them closer to each other. Alright, so basically no matter what we're doing, the next step is smelting silicon, which is apparently just takes a massive amount of stone. So let's go over here to this stone belt and just sort of get some more space back here. And let's just get like 5 of these guys in. Who knows how many we're actually going to need. If this is too many, then hopefully it'll just eventually balance itself out. So then we get a Tesla tower, and we get an output belt, which is going to go that way, because why not? Then we get our input belts. So these all get attached up. And that is going to produce our silicon. And it's very slow. So, is this going to need... No, it looks like once it gets going, it's stable. Okay, so now we get the outputs onto there. And that is silicon. Silicon ore, check. Now, is this used for anything other than refines high purity silicon? No, it isn't. So, that's... I should have just checked while I had that open. That's also in a smelting facility. So, we will get... Let's just grab more foundations, because I probably shouldn't have built this pointing in that direction. So we grab 1,000 foundations, reasonable amount, and then we fly back over this way, and we land somewhere, and now we have to get all those placed. And I have no idea how this placement works. Like, it's clearly not like Factorio, where you don't have to have every single tile covered. But that's just confusing, because I don't know how close you can build them with it still working. Alright, so then we get a couple of these guys, and you are going to be doing this recipe. And we rotate around to here, and then those go in from the belt. And then they output to that belt, which is right on the line between the different spheres things. Alright, high purity silicon, check. Now, how much is this? These guys are 6 per minute on a good day. These guys are 30 a minute, and it's like 2 to 1. So, they're gonna need a whole lot. They're gonna need a whole lot in order to work properly. Even just like with 3 of these. And are you not connected in properly, or... Okay, no, you are. Looked like you weren't running, but you were. Okay, so now we need to worry about the stone supply. I guess first, let's figure out, so we can make solar panels with this directly. And then if we can combine it with copper... So we combine it with copper to make those, and green circuits to make processors. And if we combine it with copper and green circuits, we also make solar panels. So that's actually very convenient, so we can just combine those same ingredients in 2 different ways to get both. Okay, so if we're going to be going to solar panels, we need some way of, like, batteries or something. Energy storage here is accumulators, which needs, looks like it needs crystal smelting, so let's queue that one up, and the power grid is doing power grid things. Of course it is. So it's not even close, it's like 80%. Yikes. Okay, so we have the silicon there, we have the green circuits there, we have the copper somewhere over here. That's not copper, that's fuel, it just kind of looks like copper. Okay, is this the nearest copper belt? It is. Now, the copper here actually stops there at that, and it doesn't go down this way, so we're going to have to pull it further out. We're also going to need to recharge the mecha pretty soon. So let's just get this belt going all the way over in this general direction. And then we will also get the silicon belt going in that general direction. Do I have just like anything I can just like throw some of this stuff into the fuel chamber to help power up and also clear up my inventory at the same time? That'll be marginally helpful. It's better use than that 2 coal would have seen otherwise. Okay, so now we need this belt to run just all the way across the planet. So this goes all the way down to here, and then around, and then over that way, and we're going to run out of belts, and we're also going to run out of power. So the power grid was messed up already, so we might as well mess it up even more by charging the mecha. Alright, so now we just get to stand here for a bit while the drones very inefficiently travel pretty long distances to get all those belts constructed. And it's fine. Once this is set up, we can get solar panels, so it'll at least work like during the day, right? So that will be something at least. And the research is going through... What was I researching? Oh, crystal smelting. Right, and then once that is done... What is going on there? Power grid related stuff, probably. Once that is done, we should be able to get energy storage, which actually, what does that take? That takes iron plates, something mysterious that I've never seen before in my life, and then I think the crystals from the crystal smelting. Crystal silicon, which is another use for high purity silicon, I guess. Alright, so that will be a whole process that we're going to need to go through getting solar power set up, which, considering this is Dyson Sphere project, presumably solar panels are like the end game, right? Okay, so energy storage requires super magnetic field generator, it looks like. So let's see if we can spot that. Yeah, it's all the way down here and it's crazy expensive. Okay. Let's just unlock proliferator in the meantime. That'll be fun. Okay, so our personal power has been charged, so now we can run over to here and grab another stack of 300 belts. And let's just let that stack up to 600, because 300 belts are starting to go pretty fast when we have to drag super long belts. Alright, so now we're all the way down here, and it looks like we've finished all that drone-related stuff. So, we've got the green circuits here. So you are going to be going up that way. Then the copper there goes along that way. Then we need a assembly machine and a second assembly machine. So you are going to be making microcrystalline components, and you are going to be making processors. Alright, now we run over here. We've unlocked the proliferator. Very cool.
You've obtained the recipe for a proliferator. It can greatly increase production efficiency.
And we're
Fit a
not going to worry
spring
about that
coder
because
on a
it seems
conveyor
complicated for
Feed
now.
proliferator from the upper
That'll be a
port.
job for
The coder will
a
spray
little bit
cargo on
later.
a conveyor belt below. Cargo coated with proliferator has proliferator points. When such cargo is used as raw materials, it yields
Okay.
extra output or accelerates production.
So this takes you and you, and then outputs onto a belt out here. And this whole thing is going to need to get a power pole built in. So that gives us those components. Then we take those components and green circuits, and that then makes us processors, which go out to there. Success. We got an achievement for that. Alright. So then we need one more assembly machine. And you are going to be making solar panels, which we need to extend that belt a little bit. It's so nice that we don't have to worry about these two belts combining because they're right next to each other. It just works. So we get those, and then that belt needs to extend a little bit as well, and we get those. Then all of that just goes across into a depot, which is going to store like 2 stacks maybe. So this is getting some of everything, and it looks like this inserter needs to be upgraded. So now you're a Mark II sorter. And that should let this all keep up. And now we have a pair of solar panels. And those are just going to keep getting produced. Alright, so that is a success. Oh. Dark fog is up to 80%, and we had noticed that they're sort of starting to go around our defenses up here a little bit. So let's head up this way. We had a second one of these turrets, right? So we're going to put you out there. And then can we just craft up another one super easily? Yeah. So you are a turret. Then you can also be a turret all the way over here. And then we just need to chop that out and get a splitter. So you get a splitter, which will make sure each of these independently gets some stuff. So that goes all the way down there. And then this belt has to go around those turbines and all the way over to here. And apparently that's not quite how that actually lines up, but that's fine. You go in like that, and then we just need to get power poles for both of them. You get a power pole, and we run over this way so that you can get a couple of power poles in. And then we will get all these belts placed out. And that is now a functional turret. And they have a lot of overlap. They don't totally overlap. So if they come like straight down the center, it's going to be all one turret, but as long as they spread out a little bit, then we'll have multiple different turrets to do the job. And regardless, it shouldn't really be an issue, because one turret, at least the previous attack, one turret was easily enough to deter the attackers. So that's all in, and now we can also start dealing with solar panels, although it happens to be starting to be night, so that's inconvenient. Oh gosh, this thing has seasons. I just saw that we were in summer zone up there at the bottom left, and now we're in tropical zone. If we have to deal with seasons, that's going to be annoying. I mean, it won't be hugely annoying, but it'll certainly be a little bit annoying. Okay, so this whole thing is being limited by refined silicon input. And that is to be expected. Now, in order to get you, we need to get the plasma exciters and iron plates over here. And then the logistics bots themselves need to get engines and iron plates. So we're going to need to work on that. But I want to get solar panels up and running first. Okay, so energy storage would require super magnetic field generators. So let's get that going, and goodbye to the power grid. We can at least get some solar panels down so that it's functional during the daytime. So let's just find a convenient spot. Find a good spot where we can put solar panels. Like, how about over here just in the wind farm, maybe? It'll take foundations, but that should be basically fine. So, solar panels. We're going to need foundations. So we get some of that stuff in, and then we go, let's see, we can just place a whole bunch of those, and then I think we have one more that we can place. Alright, we now have a couple of solar panels, so hopefully during the daytime, those will come online and prevent the power grid from being bad. We could, like, spam even more wind turbines around, but that's starting to seem like we're just going to take up the entire planet doing that and get, like, a little bit of power. Okay. I need to, like... Okay, if we do that, then now we're doing manual research as well, which I don't know if that's good or bad. Okay, we need to get charged back up because the dark fog attack is coming, and if I need to intervene, then we don't want to be low on power for that. Although power grid is now down to 75% while I'm charging. So we're gonna need to get a whole bunch of solar panels in real fast, which is gonna require just crafting even more solar panels. So we're gonna need more silicon. All right, so now we just get to sit here, and we could also actually use fuel, like in the mecha fuel chamber. But I think this is just better because it's mostly. A good chunk of this is technically green, so we don't have to actually like destroy stuff to do it this way. Alright, so this oil extractor is technically slowing down, right, but not very fast. Okay, now it's daytime, and we're up to 90-something%. So that's promising. That's a good sign. And the power grid is almost functional during the day. So the limit here is these arc smelters. So can I just... What are these? Oh, these are blueprints from like when I played previously, like a billion years ago, somehow. Okay, let's create blueprint. And we need to like grab all of that and so if we do that, then we can call you smelter row, I guess, and then we can just click use now and force to build. Okay. So it seems like when you force it to build, it just ignores the stuff that it can't, which is a little bit annoying, but whatever. So we need to get this set up. So you get disconnected. You... Oh, there's like a whole ore patch in here. Okay, yeah, no, that's... This last one is basically unsalvageable.
Congratulations. You've obtained metadata. A reward from Center Brain for uploading matrices.
Okay.
Metadata is a more advanced information carrier
Neat.
instantiated from matrices, and it has more complicated data structure. Use it to buy out technologies,
Alright.
or convert it back as the corresponding matrices.
That's...
Keep uploading matrices to obtain
interesting.
more metadata. Open the stats panel for detailed calculation rules.
Alright, we're gonna have to open the stats panel for detailed calculation rules because... Huh? What does that mean? Metadata. We have 157 meta EM, 62 meta energy. Okay, I have no idea what any of that means. Alright, we're just going to ignore that. That seems like the sort of thing which we just ignore. And then we need to just connect those guys up to this belt. And then if we just go to that blueprint, did we...
Research.
No, we didn't actually save that. Okay, sure. Unlock slope limit when building conveyor belts. Master the supermagnetic field excitation technology. So apparently we have better slope limit now?
Dark fog clusters
Neat.
launching an assault.
Oh boy, that's exciting. Let's get you set on researching energy storage. And then we will... Okay, they're coming from this direction, apparently. Well, that's not good, because all my defenses are over there. Okay, so we're going to have to do more work on sorting out this whole defensive thing. Do I have any...
Insufficient materials.
Can I just craft up some more turrets to help me? Hopefully, those are probably not going to get crafted in time. But that's fine. Alright. Dark fog destroyed. And... Okay, then they're also attacking from over
Light
here. So they just decided to attack from every direction except the
Building
one that I
destroyed.
had turrets in, which I guess is smart of them. Okay, so that's that. And we get rid of these guys. Fortunately, they're still not exactly threatening, and we have a fancy force field now. Okay, then there's more coming up this way, which probably got dealt with by the turrets. Yes, okay, so the turrets did handle some of them, at least. And somewhere we lost a power pole of some sort. Okay, so if we just fly over here, I see, it was you.
A building has been destroyed by dark fog. Engineer, hold the left mouse button on the
Okay.
gray hologram to instantly
So we need to actually
reconstruct.
recraft one
Ensure
of
the
those.
corresponding items are available in your inventory.
So we need to recraft one of those, and that's actually sort of
Decompress
broken
X,
stuff
completely
entirely.
dismantle it.
So we need to find those hologram thingamabobs. What are those, like those guys, right? Grab some of you. And then we can build more of those.
Flight mode.
And then we run it back over here. And then that goes back in. And everything is all connected up and repaired. Alright, that dark fog attack was definitely more threatening than the previous ones, because they sort of came from a bunch of different directions. So, I wonder what we do about that. I wonder what it is that we're supposed to do about that, because it's going to be kind of extremely annoying to actually build defenses everywhere. So I don't know what to do about that. So we're just going to ignore it for now, probably. So let's see, what were we doing? Oh right, we were over here upgrading the silicon production, and at this point the issue is stone. So we have energy storage unlocked. Very cool. Then let's see, what are some of these guys? Proliferator Mark II is going to be more complicated probably, and we haven't even done Mark I yet. So let's get missile turrets unlocked. Maybe those will be better? Who knows? Okay, so this is mainly limited by the stone input, which is mainly limited by belt speed. So we can improve that by taking this guy, and I don't know what you're struggling with there, but we just need you to come up and okay, not like that. You need to not go all the way over there. You need to come down as soon as you can and just go over this way. And oh, the belt slopes being so much more lenient is wonderful. Okay, so now you come over this way and probably just go in and connect into there. And so that should sort of give us more effective stone. So that should help. Alright. Missile turrets unlocked. What does it take to build a missile turret? A whole bunch of components, circuit boards, and steel. Alright, so we can yoink some circuit boards from there. Easy enough. We should be able to yoink some steel from over here. Just like that. And then we can produce one of these, and hopefully they have crazy range. Range of ground defense 60 meters, range of space defense 4,200 meters. Okay. Well, that's pretty neat. Then do you take... Oh, you're probably going to take some fancy missile ammo or something, aren't you? Missile set is also very, very complicated. Okay. Yeah, that will be something that we work on later, I guess. So, for now, how's the solar power going? We've got all this stuff. it's going over this way. Do we have like a bunch of solar panels by now, or are we still struggling to produce even a couple? We have 21. Okay, well 21 is a reasonable number. So let's fly over to this area over here. And now I think it's like immediately nighttime, so this isn't going to be effective right away, but we can at least get it built. And then just sort of do a little bit of that. And then we can just expand those rows all the way over. And apparently we need more foundation. So let's get some of that stuff in. And get the last couple of solar panels placed. Okay, so that should be a significant amount of solar power during the daytime. Obviously during nighttime it doesn't do us any good. But it's a start. It is at least a start. So, the next thing we should keep doing research is, what is this integrated logistics system? That requires fancy magical stuff. And we've got that. Planetary logistics system requires thrusters. This gives us photon combiners and recipes for photon combiners. Alright, let's just continue to do sort of these things down here. What's hollow beacon? I don't know, but we're gonna research it and find out. And that should take just about no time at all, because it's only like 100 things. And then this is all taking place during the night, so the power grid is messed up. Alright, so accumulators. We unlocked those, right? We unlocked accumulators. Where are you? We have this water pump. I don't think we have anything water to do with. Alright, hollow beacon researched. Very cool. Accumulators. So we need iron ingots, we need crystal silicon, and we need supermagnetic rings. So supermagnetic rings are graphite, magnets, and the EM drive type things, or whatever those are called. Okay, so that shouldn't be terribly difficult. We have all of those already constructed. We just have to get them over to each other. And we have to make the crystal silicon, which is going to be the biggest problem, honestly. Like, we need to do something about the silicon, because we need it for a lot of things now, and this stone thing is not a good idea. Alright, so we go over here, got more solar panels done. So, step one is figure out what type of machine these get made in. Smelting facility. Alright, so we will get a smelting facility here. And then hopefully you can get out of that area. So if we make you shorter, then yes. So now you can go up and then back down. Alright, so that then feeds into you, and you make crystal silicon. And then you output it onto a belt somewhere. And that whole thing gets powered, and at some point we're going to have to figure out how to actually get these past the solar panel row. So let's start by limiting that to 1 stack. That should help a little bit. So we have our crystal silicon, check. What else was there? The EM drive and the graphite and the magnets. So the EM drives are here on this belt. The closest source of magnets is just up there, and then the graphite is up there. Alright, so let's get this belt going out. So you go up a little bit, like that. And then you just sort of run around that way to do your thing eventually, and then we're going to need to grab more belts, so we can run all the way up to here to get that going. So let's grab another 600 belts, and we can throw that random stack of refined fuel into our fuel chamber. And we really need to work on clearing out our inventory some, because it is just like officially mostly filled. So we have some random ores and stuff that we can throw into machines at least. That can be a start. Like we can throw some of the silicon ore into here. So you get that. You get that. And what else? Okay, so then we also have 2 of these guys. And can we just like... Okay, we can just like manually put items onto belts. That's neat. And then we're going to want to do the same sort of thing with some of these other ores that we have. So, we're over here now. And you get some copper ore, so that spot is cleared. We need to just get this. I have no idea how to deal with that. I guess we can just put you into there, and that'll be fine. And then we can click sort, and we've got some inventory spaces at least. Could be a lot worse. Alright, so what is this goal thing it has? It wants us to unlock drive engine and go to a new planet. Okay, how does one unlock drive engine? Is it in here, or is it in the upgrade side of things? Doesn't look like it's in here, so maybe it's in upgrades. I should probably spend more time looking at. Okay, yes, drive engine 2 requires mecha core level 2. Alright, so we start with that, and that'll give us more core energy, which is reasonably helpful on its own. And now this is all going. And it looks like this isn't enough green circuits because there's not enough iron plates here, because there's not enough iron ore all the way back here. So let's get another mining machine down this way. So off we go. And you get... Let's see, how can we get you lined up to work well? That's actually pretty good. So you go into there, And then that belt just loops around and combines up. And that should give us plenty of science pack production once that's all sorted out. So now we can just
Flight mode.
pop back real quick.
Upgrade complete.
And science is done, which means we can now click Drive Engine 2, which gives us cruise mode at a certain altitude, which lets us orbit the planet. Neat. Okay, somehow we're super low on power again. I feel like I just recharged 5 seconds ago. And we're probably going to, if we're going to be going to another planet, we're going to need some sort of actual fuel to carry with us. Like, okay, not engines, but what were those things? Combustible units that are like 10 megajoules each? Or we could just carry some of the, what's it called? Some of the refined fuel or whatever from this oil setup. Although that's kind of sketch because it's down to like 500. I'm pretty sure that might be decreasing over time.
Upgrade complete.
Which is a little bit concerning. Alright. Mecha Cruise mode enabled. Very cool.
You're now able to cruise.
So
Press
this
space twice
is just
to lift
coal
off
to
and
combustible
enter flight.
units.
Hold the key for
There's
forward
3 coal to 1.
and space in flight mode to reach a certain altitude. To
Okay,
activate cruise mode.
so we just sort of go up. So
Flight
let's make some combustible units so that we have plenty of power supply when we do this. And are those in assemblers? Yes, they are. So we just get an assembler there. And okay, so the drone stuff is in their own tab, which I just saw. So you can go out like that. And then that can go forward. And I think it'll go into a splitter for now, which will just feed into a good old-fashioned Mark I depot. You are set to make combustible units. And that seems to be exactly fast enough, so we can leave you as is and give you an output sorter so that we have plenty of those. And so that should hopefully give us the fuel that we need for various travel. And this is 1 every 3 seconds, apparently. So it uses 1 coal a second, basically. And once we have those and engines, we can start worrying about making missile sets, which should be cool. But for now, we're just going to have those. So what other things can we upgrade right now? So we can't do another mecha core or another cosmic exploration. We could get better movement speed, better inventory capacity would be quite lovely to have. So I'm going to need to pick up some steel plates and green circuits. Oh wait, that's not steel plates, that's iron ingots. Alright, so steel. We can grab all of that stuff. And then green circuits we can grab from that belt. And we just need to keep on grabbing until it's all filled up. So that and that. Alright, so now we have all the items that we need to do the research. that should give us more inventory capacity, which I was just saying that I needed. And that should be useful. So now we have that going. What else was there to do? Oh, right, we wanted to make supermagnetic rings. So let's see. We wanted to take this belt up here, and we can just sort of do this while that's crafting. So we need probably just a splitter on this belt of magnets. So that gets chopped out. Then we get a splitter, which can just go like that. And then you get fed from there. You get fed from there. And then you can just come out and sort of sneak around into that area. And then what was the last thing we needed? It was graphite, right? So once again, we just run up here, put a splitter on a belt. So we take all that stuff out.
Upgrade
And
complete.
put in a splitter. And this is going to be a little bit janky, but it should be fine. So that goes into there. And then that goes into there. And then we can take this all the way out. Okay, please just work. So then you come out this way. And now we've got all these guys in the same general vicinity. We can smack down an assembly machine. And then all of these just need to go in. And this is not going to be super well organized, but that's fine. You are making supermagnetic rings. You go down to there. And then this belt comes all the way down to here. And then all of these go in, like that, and that, and that. Then you get powered, and we get an output. Just like that. Alright, what other technology can we do? We could do more inventory capacity. I do like having inventory capacity. That's always a nice thing to have. So these supermagnetic rings, they were one of the steps in accumulators, right? So then we just need to get iron plates and silicon crystals up here. And we still haven't managed to successfully craft a single silicon crystal, which is a bit of a nuisance. But that's what going to another planet is for, probably. So I guess we just need to, like, go to another planet and then work out what we're supposed to do with silicon from there. Is there anything else we can do with these while we have them? Nope, just accumulators for now. Alright, that's fine. So, we have... I made all those engine unit things, right? Where did I make those? Right up here. All the way up here we can grab... Okay, let's limit you. Got
Upgrade.
like 90. Got another line of inventory capacity. So that's unupgradable. So this next row, I guess we can get better construction drones. We could get whatever that is. And that should be fine. Alright, so we are going to charge up fully at a power pole over here. And then we're going to go in cruise mode and figure out what's going on with that. So dark fog is at 23% threat, so we should have time.
Upgrade complete.
We should have time to do stuff if we
You've unlocked
show
auto
back up and everything has
reconstruction
been
marker.
destroyed in the meantime. That would be a
Icarus can
shame.
now automatically analyze destroyed buildings nearby and mark them as under reconstruction.
All right.
By default,
Neat.
as long as there are sufficient corresponding items, construction drones will automatically head to
That's
reconstruct.
handy.
You can also disable this feature in the mecha panel.
So vertical
Then
construction,
you
we
can only
can
reconstruct manually.
get more layers of vertical construction. Distribution range, vein utilization. You might want to do that, honestly. That can never hurt. But for now, for us, we are gonna start going to a different planet. So we open the star map, and we need to find a planet with silicon veins. So you have fire, ice, and hydrogen. So that's not interesting. To us, at least right now. Fire, ice sounds very cool, but not what we need. Then this guy over here. Okay, you have tons of silicon. See that right there. And you also have titanium, for that matter. So you have a little bit of silicon, but not much. Then you are a star, so you don't count. Okay. So, let's figure out how to do that. So, we can click an indicator, and we can pin it, I guess. Alright, let's figure out how this works.
Flight mode.
We are going to hold space and W to go
In
into
cruise mode, you can fly the mecha to different planets or planetary systems by following the arrows in space navigation.
Okay.
Shift to accelerate, or S to slow down. You can also press Q,
cool.
R, or hold the right mouse button to fly sideways.
We're probably going to get stranded in space, aren't we? Can I put these combustible units
Upgrade.
into the fuel chamber? Thank you. Okay. We need to go this way. Does this use like real... Did this use like real orbital mechanics? Or else how do I get there? So we need to accelerate. And so it seems like while we're accelerating, we use an enormous amount of power. And then while we're not assembling, we're mostly fine. So there are other upgrades, like we can... Okay, we can't actually do that because it requires ingredients to do. Alright, so that is... It says ETA is like 2 minutes. Now we can accelerate even more. Now it's like 1 minute and 30. It's very eerily quiet up here in space, which is to be expected, I guess. But it's definitely creepy. Also, I didn't, like, bring stuff with me. Like, I didn't check to make sure I had all the various ingredients that would be needed. So this might be a very non-useful trip. I guess we'll have to see. So we are almost there. And do we have to like slow down probably? Or we might just crash into the planet. Crashing into the planet seems like it would be bad. Alright, so we're getting there. And then we slow down a little bit. Alright. It's kind of crazy. You don't realize how many sounds there are in this game until suddenly there are none. Alright, so now we just need to make our way in and see what happens when we land. Alright, so down we go. Then we're going to slow down our cruising speed. And we're gonna be landing soon, I guess.
Cruise ended.
Warning, warning.
boy.
You're about to intrude dark fog control range.
Oh, that's
They're
scary.
highly likely to launch an attack. Press
Like
Z to enter the combat.
That's not good.
And
Let's
assist Icarus
Let's just run away. Away we go.
Warning, warning. Dark fog is approaching. Press Z to enter the combat interface.
Okay, yeah,
This
thank
is
you. We're just gonna run. I don't really need help necessarily. I just need to run faster than they can catch up to me. Alright. That was incredibly alarming, but we made it. And... Alright, so now we're here. Now what? So did we just, like, land just directly? Yeah, we just landed, like, directly on top of where Dark Fog's base on this planet is. Okay, so... Now where are we? We're just, like, here by that stone vein. So Silicon is up north. And did I bring, like, any useful supplies at all? I'm going to have to start from scratch. Okay, so we're going to need to mine some... We're going to need to mine some copper from here. So I guess we head east to a copper vein. And then we're going to need to do something about the power situation as well. Because those burnable units are our only power source, and we need to make it back as well. So, we're over here now. And we can yoink some copper ore. That's perfectly fine. Then we can make one of those guys. And, okay, let's stop mining copper. Now, is there, like... Is there wind on this planet? Okay, there is apparently wind on this planet. So that's great. So, right now, all we need to do is, I guess we just run up here to this silicon. And we can just set up some mines and some boxes. Alright, so we're over here now. We can set up... We can set this guy up. And then we set up an electrical pole, and I don't know why I placed another electrical pole there. So then we can set up some wind turbines, and we can also get a wireless power tower for personal charging. And then, let's see, how are we going to manage this? Because we need to get this all back to the other planet, which doesn't seem extraordinarily easy. So I guess we can just, like, run it manually, technically, right? We can just fill our inventory up with silicon here and then bring it all back. So let's get another one of these mining things set up. So yeah, we're just going to have this depot fill up with silicon ore. And then we are going to bring it back. We're going to fill up our inventory and head back. And then that will be that. So you come over that way. And then you attach in. And these can probably handle more than one inserter. So if you do that, and you do that and that, so then Yeah, so now this is able to fill this box up with the full power of these 2 mining machines. Okay, we need to stop using those burnable units because we're going to need those to get back. And I don't really know how... Is there anything on this planet that we could use to make fuel? Doesn't look like it, so we need to be careful not to get stranded, I guess. There's probably some way, right? They wouldn't just let you get stuck like that, hopefully. But who knows? They absolutely might, I guess. So, we have this box, and it's filling up. And how much do I want to, like, wait here for this to be worth it? And oh, and this planet is also going to need defenses against dark fog, I guess. So we can start very basic, right? So you get that, and then you get some of that ammo, and this should theoretically keep it safe as long as the attacks are very rare, which hopefully they will be, because the dark fog attacks based off of power, and there's not much power on this planet. Okay, let's let this get up to 1 full row, and then we'll take it. But then we will get another stack up there so that we can store even more here, so that when we make trips out here for silicon, we don't have to like take a tiny amount back every time. So this first batch is just sort of to prove that it's possible, basically. Alright, so we grab all of that, and we throw these back into there. Actually, first we should find our way back to our home planet. So that's you. You get the indicator, and then we just have to go, I guess. So up we go, and then we turn this way, and we can shove the fuel back in. And now we accelerate. So off we go. And now we just have to make it back safely with all the silicon that we grabbed. And that should be marginally helpful, at least. Shouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So we should have enough silicon to run for a little bit. We won't be able to do a huge amount like this, but it's better than nothing. So now we just go all the way back to here. And I still don't know what happens if you just ram into a planet at full speed. Kind of want to test, kind of don't want to test. So we are just going to play it safe for now and slow down a fair amount before ramming into the planet. What?
Mecha shield penetrated.
What just happened? Huh?
Lost connection to center brain.
What?
Mission failed. You can continue from your previous
What was I supposed to do to stop
or
that
use
from happening?
metadata to redeploy or reassemble Icarus. To redeploy, center brain will dispatch a new Icarus to the landing point on the initial planet. To reassemble, center brain will reassemble scattered components into an intact Icarus and retain all items in the inventory.
Retain all items in the inventory seems like a good idea. I don't know. Maybe how long ago was the load? Let's see here. So the last autosave was like 13 minutes ago. So this one here. Okay, what about 16:43:55? That's in the future, isn't it? It's only 4:40 right now. I don't know. Let's save and let's just call this death. Game saved. All right, now we load. So if we load this game, what happens? Okay, so we're back here. What were we doing? Okay, so I have no idea what we were doing. Is this like a really long time ago? Okay, yeah, no, this is absolutely ages ago. That's not happening. Oh, right, that was last stream. Okay. So this would be the most recent one. It was 32 minutes ago. That's egregious. All right, no, we're not doing that. We are going to load this and click reassemble. Okay, and apparently that just isn't a good idea.
Mecha shield penetrated.
Okay. Genuinely, like, what am I supposed to do about this, though? Alright, I guess we can click redeploy and then just lose our inventory. Well, that's kind of awful. Like, what even happened? Was it just like the hive just coincidentally happened to be there, so we just got obliterated? Okay, well that's kind of unreasonable, but whatever. So we lost our inventory, and we're gonna have to figure out where we go from here. We didn't manage to get the silicone back. Alright, so I guess lesson learned is pay attention to where the Dark Fog Space Hive is. And then that is all just gonna be like in space or something, right? So that's all that stuff is just like lying up in space. We can't hope to reclaim that. It's just like in the middle of space somewhere. Alright, well that's kind of frustrating, but we were close to the point where we're going to be wrapping up the stream anyways, so I guess that makes a good stopping point. So next stream we are going to be trying to fix whatever happened there, and we're going to be getting our stuff back and hopefully picking up some silicon. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stop by next time. I will be streaming Dyson Sphere program again on Tuesday. So we will be back to Factorio tomorrow. So if you're interested in that, make sure to follow if you haven't already. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, playing various factory building games. I've done a lot of Satisfactory. I've been doing a lot of Factorio, and I've just recently started up this. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time.